Okay, so sorry guys, cortisol take two. I hope this is better. Now I don't think you're going to be able to see my whole board, so we'll just make a little adjustment here. How about that? Okay, so again, getting back to cortisol. I'm going to start from kind of in the beginning because everybody heard and seen the commercials about cortisol being your stress hormone and how it affects you and you're fat because of the cortisol. And today we're going to tune in a little bit about what cortisol is all about. If you can see my board, there's a lot of writing because there's so many things that cortisol actually um, really affect. And guys, I'm doing a study course right now, which really taps into the endocrine system, which is like all the hormones in your body. And it's such an important thing and such a neglected thing that people don't realize. And there's a few things that you can do every day to affect the whole system. It's really mind blowing because if you disturb one hormone, it really affects all the rest, not just sex hormones. Cortisol is a hormone, thyroid is a hormone, calcitonin, your bones. Anyway, we'll get into calcitonin, especially for the ladies with that's concerned about osteoporosis. Again, there are things that you can do, and unfortunately, remember, if it took you a lifetime to get to a certain point, don't expect it to change overnight. Here is a problem I have with Western medicine. You start having a symptom because of the past 15, 20 years of a bad lifestyle. You go to the doctor, and the doctor say, "Oh, this is your problem. Here's a tablet." The symptom goes away, but it doesn't really always fix the underlying causes. We're great in preventing you from dying. Like Brendan said yesterday, there are things that Western medicine are really great in. But when it comes to these long-term lifestyle things, if it's a lifestyle thing that caused the problem, don't you think lifestyle is the thing that should fix it? So the better way is start the lifestyle thing earlier so that in the long run you can prevent those things. And it's not 100% science, but in heart um, cardiovascular medicine they talk about risk factors. Now, if you can effectively manage to eliminate all your risk factors for these lifestyle diseases, if you get it, then number one, if you get it, your chance of survival is so much better. Number two, if you get it, at least you did all you can do, right? Okay, let's get back to cortisol. I'm going down a rabbit hole now. So, cortisol is a stress hormone. Is it bad? No, not necessarily. See, because if a stress comes in, your body releases cortisol, and it's got a lot to do with your fight or flight. So if you need to run away from a crazy animal that's going to eat you up, you need some cortisol. Is it bad for the cortisol to be there then? No, I don't think God would have made cortisol if it's bad for you. So in this situation, fight or flight, cortisol is actually really good for you. But the problem comes in with long-term chronic stress. Now, think about these. Everybody, turn your radars on. Long-term chronic stress like financial stress, psychological stress, negative attitudes or beliefs, fear, chronic overconsumption of caffeine. These guys who consume these energy drinks by various names over and over, and not now they make these really big cans as well, and then you drink 3 or 4 of them a day. You are destroying your adrenal glands. Don't do it. Marital stress, emotional stress, toxins. On Saturday, I attended a training on endocrine disruptors. Guys, these things, and these are just some of them, heavy metals, mercury and mercury, I can't remember the other one, that comes in here, PCBs, phthalates, dioxins. Me and Amanda talked about it on skincare. You know that skincare products sometimes have formaldehyde in. Firstly, formaldehyde kills your brain, and then it also some of them have dioxin and phthalates in. Go look at the ingredient list. So if we're done here, go to your skincare, look at the ingredient list, not anything else. Note it contains so much active ingredient. Go where it says ingredients and phthalates, easy to detect. It says something phthalate. So there you go. It doesn't say, oh, this contains phthalates. They're not going to tell you that. Or this contains dioxins. That's not going to tell you that. Dioxins is very, so much time in skincare as a stabilizer. And you put it on your skin. Oh, yes, now you're going to look pretty. But it gets absorbed into your skin. And what does it do? It disrupts your hormones. And this training that we did was endocrine disruptors in the sense of what it does in as it pertains to diabetes. Guess what? Cortisol, thyroid hormone, all these other things. It's not just one hormone that it's affecting. It affects all of them. Cortisol also plays a big part in sex hormones. That you know, here's the thing. Again, chronic stress. Chronic stress. One of the I'm going to read some of the symptoms for you because the list is just so long. Oh, the list is just so long. I'm sorry. I didn't have any more space. So if you experience some of these chronic stresses, cortisol gets too high, and you're still under that stress, your body tells your brain this is not enough cortisol to handle this stress. Guess what? It tells your adrenal cortex to steal some of your other hormones, which include sex hormones, to make more cortisol. Did you know that? So that's where one of the signs of increased cortisol is a decreased sex drive. So, ladies, if your husband is under a lot of stress and he comes home and he doesn't want to, cuddle up, not his fault. But we're going to talk. I really want anybody who has. Okay, let's go to some symptoms. Here we go: fatigue, nervousness, irritability, depression, frustration. Oh, my wife can tell you about that. There was a time. There was a time in my life. Apathy, vertigo, vertigo. How can vertigo maybe be a reason because of this chronic stress and too much cortisol in your body? People have come, especially in this time that we're in right now, they come to the pharmacy as repeatedly for vertigo medicines. Oh, I'm so dizzy. I'm dizzy every day. Why? Weakness, cravings, headaches, PMS, GI disturbances, constipation, irritable bowel, anxiety, panic, decreased memory. Well, I've had that always. LOL. Confusion, insomnia, indecisiveness, procrastination. That's an avoidance tactic. And I see that in people that I sometimes work with. They have this avoidance tactic. When the stress gets too much, it's not a mental procrastinator where they just like, I just don't feel like it right now. It's an avoidance tactic. Let me rather do something else because that is how I deal with the stress right now. Decrease self-worth, decrease spontaneity. All of these, the list goes on. So if you experience any of these, there is a chance that your cortisol might be a little bit out of whack. So what does cortisol do? Too much, and remember, like insulin resistance, any type of resistance, it requires exposure and time. So if short-term stressors, not necessarily bad for you, releases some glucose into your body, get your muscles going, you're ready to go. Because cortisol actually do some, okay, there's an up and down. Cortisol releases glucose. So you have more glucose available to your muscles to run. But if you're now not running, you're sitting behind your desk because you're stressed out, glucose levels go up, what happens? Insulin gets secreted because your glucose levels are up. Okay, so what's wrong with that? Because now insulin sees, oh, all this glucose, what does it do with this glucose? It doesn't go into the muscles for energy. It goes into fat because you're not using the muscles. You're sitting behind your desk, stressing out. Oh, what am I going to do? Where's the money going to come? You know, all these things, this big, these are just a few of them. There's other things that can cause chronic stress too. So there are ways to get rid of the stress. And if you're interested in those ways, there's several different ways to get rid of stress, or let's rather put it this way, to manage your stress, to better manage it so that this body is functional and don't go into this overdrive of cortisol. There are ways to do that. I beg of you, DM me. We don't have to talk out in public about it, but there are ways that I can give you some simple strategies and tactics, things that I have done in a way to manage the stress better. So I beg of you, do DM me and ask me about those things because um, it's good for your health to manage your stress well and good for your family too. So what happens if you have this chronic elevated cortisol, chronic elevated, so high cortisol levels, long time, because you're not getting out of the situation, you're not managing your stress well. Very first thing on the list is diabetes. Why? Because we talked about it. Glucose gets released because of the cortisol, because it tells your brain there's a stress, you need the glucose because you're going to run, but you're not running. So glucose up, insulin goes up, insulin just goes on a party, storing everything as fat. And because of the high insulin, now you get insulin resistant, and then you get diabetes, heart disease, elevated blood pressure and blood fats, blood cholesterol. Again, that goes hand in hand with the diabetes and the elevated glucose and insulin. Infertility. Have you ever thought that, if you can just manage your stress, get your cortisol down, and there's some ways to test the cortisol. Um, Probably the best way is to go to your doctor and ask them to test it for you. But there are some other ways that you can functionally, some stuff that you can do at home as well. And again, if you're interested in those, DM me, I'll answer you back. Infertility, brain damage. Again, I feel this one, and that one ties in together. And do away infertility as well. Because what happens? Elevated cortisol, elevated glucose, elevated insulin, all of those tie in together. What do they call dementia nowadays? Diabetes type 3 can just as well be caused by this situation. GI illness, gastrointestinal, decreased immunity. Cortisol has a big role to play in your immune system. And chronic high elevated cortisol uh, puts a damper on your immune system. Why do you think, and I see this in the pharmacy every day, people had chicken pox and now they get an outbreak of shingles when they're older. When do they get an outbreak of shingles? The theory is that as we age, after age 50, your immune system starts to go down, and that is true. That's why you need to do everything in your power to keep a high level of your immune system, or keep it functioning at least. Um, but then they will tell you, I went through the stressful time period, and now in this time that we're in, I can tell you how many antivirals we've sold to shingles patients. Why? Okay, went through a stressful period, stuck in the house, watching the stupid news every single minute of every single day because that's all they do, stressing out, immune system goes down, shingles. A lot to think about. So, functional things to do to get the cortisol down. Number one is diet. Watch what you eat. Stay away from high anything white starch. Especially if you're older than 30, stay away from white starches. Your body does not the way it did when you were a teenager. Frankly, teenagers shouldn't eat it either. White starches is dangerous. High fructose corn syrup, your number one fat producing food that you can eat. We can go in a lot about diet. The more, if you want to incorporate carbohydrates, raw fruits and veg. More vegetables and fruit. Don't eat too much fruit. Fruit is good, 1 or 2 servings, I'd say. But vegetables, try to get at least between 5 and 9 servings a day. And if you can, there's some supplements, whole food supplements that I can recommend to you. Again, DM me. Don't wait, you have to DM me because your life hangs on this. This is such amazing science. Another thing, stress management. And we talked about stress management. Guys and girls, if you need help with stress management, you have to hit that DM and we have to talk. We can't wait. Proper exercise. Again, comes in with lifestyle. If you don't do the proper exercise, walking to your mailbox every day, it's a beginning. And again, I want to say exercise is a funny thing. You really have to start where you're at. And we can kind of talk about that too. And I actually have a real good person that can help you with that. And if you hit me up in DM, I will get you in contact with her. I think she's brilliant, absolute brilliant. Supplements. There's so many supplements that ties into this situation that frankly it will completely change your life. But guys, it's not just one thing. There is no supplement that's going to exercise on your behalf. There is no supplement that's going to eat the right foods for you every day. Ain't going to happen. A supplement is there to supplement the other things. That's why it's called in the English language a supplement. And then, of course, last resort, and I want to say last resort for a reason, hormones and meds from your doctor. Here is truly my passion, and the reason I'm standing here before you today is because my desire is not to have you on some type of drug or medicine where you have to come back to see me day after day after day. My desire and my passion is to have people which I can lock arms with and walk the road with you, and we can lead the way. So I can teach you what I know, and you can teach others, so that we can walk this way and we can actually make this world a better place. That truly, if you know me, you can talk to my wife, she'll tell you, that is my true desire. So with all that said, I thank you to listening to my bubble, to my all the talk and my pretty board. I hope I don't damage with all the writing. Um, but truly, if you have any questions, if you need help on diet, if you need help on stress management, if you need help on the right supplementation, you have to DM me. Don't wait. Don't put this off and say, oh, I'm just going to see if I can do it on myself. Because I know I was in this situation. While I was in this situation, I also weighed 50 pounds more than what I do now. Life has changed for me. I'm finally happy, I'm healthy, and I have the ability to bring to you something that can change your life. So with that said, I'm done for today. I'm punching out. God bless, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.